All right, we're going to do a quick recording of a couple of trades today. The first one I'm going to go over here is Bitcoin. These will be done in separate videos. So I want to go over the setup, why I did what I did. So we're going to be using the replay tool in TradingView. A lot of times as we're trading during the day, it might be hard to relay some of the reasons for the setup. So I'm actually tying in with that the trade setup sheet, which are the two images that are here. The upper checklist is basically off the indicator down here. The upper bar looks at the 15-minute time frame, the middle bar the 60-minute, and the bottom bar the 240 or 4-hour time frame. So the reason why we want to trade with those higher time frames is we want to trade in the direction of the higher time frames, because those are where the big players play and the decisions are made, and we're down on the smaller charts to take our trades. So we just need a little chunk of the move. We don't need the whole thing. We're not asking for the whole thing. We're not trying to buy down here way at the bottom and sell everything at the top and say that's it. That's the end of the move. There's absolutely no way to pick tops and bottoms. We do the best we can to find out when things are going to turn. So the upper checklist, basically Bitcoin was on the 15-minute, was checked off because it was green. The 60-minute was green, and the 4-hour was green. Okay, so they had all turned green in here before I took the trade. So I'm going to kind of zoom out. Closed out at 4, so I closed all trades at 4 o'clock. That's what this red vertical line is for. Okay, so we had news out today, and then the bottom checklist here is traditional trading. That's where we, draw our support and resistance levels, our highs and lows, supply and demand zones. We're drawing trend lines and counter trend lines, our retracement lines. We're looking for the instruments to bounce or break those levels, and then pull back to test them, and then give us a signal candle, or the power trade indicator give us a signal. Either one. We want that signal candle. Sometimes we'll get the PTI here will signal a buy before that. Sometimes we actually get the signal candle before. Okay. Sometimes you can get in a little earlier. So there's percentages off this checklist. So basically, if you're trading in the direction of the PTI indicator, the power trade indicator, so everything's green, we want to do what? We're only looking for buys for the day. That's all I was looking for in Bitcoin, was buys. At the start of the morning, that's it. I just wanted to buy. You can see all the buys printed across here. There's several opportunities to, get in, close partial, on a pullback, get back in, close partial. I mean, there's several opportunities in here. And as the day goes, once it gets to 11 to noon, I like to stop trading, because half the market leaves. London shuts down. So you got the London boys over there, the hedge funds and big banks, and everybody's shutting down. And over here, everybody's going to lunch. So that 11 to noon hour, we lose a lot of volume. So we lose half of our volume from overseas, and then we lose a lot of volume because basically it's lunchtime here in the U.S. Afternoon, you might have volume here and there, little volume spikes here and there. But sometimes it's not tradable in the afternoon. We don't get the momentum. We don't get the push. So in the mornings, we're looking for news. Is there a news catalyst that comes out? Is, Trump speaking? Is Powell speaking? What could possibly help move the market, give us momentum in our trades? So there was news that came out at 9:45. And so I was not looking to trade the news today. I didn't get in before news, which would have been over in here. And then, let's see, which one was 9:45, about in here. Right there, that candle 9:45, the one that wicked back and forth. So again, not looking to trade the news. So before the news came out, I'm watching several instruments. We're looking for those highs and lows. We're looking for, can we draw a trend line? That the instrument may follow for the rest of the day. Is it in a retracement? What's going on? Watch the candles and see what's going on. Now, typically I'm on a 3-minute chart. Around news time, I will drop down to a 1-minute chart, because a lot of times those 3-minute candles, you're just watching them go back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. If you dial to a 1, you actually see moves. Okay, you see bounces, you see pullbacks. So sometimes you have to go down to a 1 just to see it. Don't let it freak you out. You're still taking trades off of the indicator setup. So I'm still only taking buys when we have a buy, or buys when it breaks. In this case, it was, it came up and broke this 4-hour support and resistance level and then pulled back to test it. And I jumped in on that, okay, because 4-hour levels are strong. So before the news came out, we had a low here, we had a high here. I chose not to draw this line. I chose not to draw a line at that high because I already had this line, this 4-hour support and resistance level line. Okay, so I just chose not to draw that one because I had the other. So basically, we're watching what's happened. I didn't draw any kind of trend line, but we could have. As you see, it had a low here, had a high here. Came down and made a, higher low. Came up and made a lower high. That wick is lower than this one. Came down. This wick is slightly better than that one. Technically made a higher low. But then it came up and tapped above this level. So basically tapping that 4-hour line. Came down, couple candles in here. 3 candles, it tapped it again. So at that point, with this area here and with this area here, because it's hammering at that 4-hour level, you could draw a trend line. Now, one thing to keep in mind is trend lines are linear, and they're not going to hold up long term, okay? But that would be your trade line up. And we're gearing to trade long because, again, the indicator down here, at this time in here, the 15-minute was green and the 4-hour was green. Okay, the 1-hour was still red. We were in a retracement period on the 1-hour and 15-minute over here. So that feathered out. We had a fall. It kind of feathered out and was going sideways. And then right here, the 15-minute went back to green. Okay, which is great because the 4-hour was already green. So then it just sideways movement. And then with it hammering up above, and you got to think quick, guys, because this is a 1-minute time frame. Okay. So it's a 1-minute time frame. You're watching every 1 minute it's ticking. So you need to be thinking and looking and saying, what is this candle telling me? What is this candle telling me? So we come down here, we have this candle here, large wick on the top and bottom. That's an indecision candle. Okay. The sellers are pushing it down, but the buyers are holding it up. Nice green candle, nice green candle, a little bit of a pullback on the reds, and then a green candle pop through the 4-hour line. So this green candle closed above that 4-hour support and resistance level. Next candle opened and closed above it. Okay. Now at that point where we broke this, we pushed higher. I would tweak this line out a little bit and put it on this wick right here. You're always wanting to be aware of where your line is. This is a trade line. So I want that should support my trade for the day, at least to where I can close partials. Okay. That's what we're looking for. And I got in a little earlier. I took 10 contracts on it, but and I need to kind of move this out of the way so you can see the candles. So green candle again. Red candle came down to test the 4-hour support and resistance level. That level held. It didn't breach that line. Again, open and close, up above it. Open and close, up above it. So I decided to take the trade right there, and we also had a buy signal. Okay, and you're taking it. So my buy price was at this line right here. Okay, where I bought. I know the candle is down below it a little bit, but that's because the market doesn't freeze for me to take my trades. Right, it's moving. So this candle came up, went up, down, and gave me the buy signal, and I took the trade. So again, it's moving. So I put the lines where I actually placed the trade. So that was my entry order. So I put 10 on, and then when it went up here to the first take profit level, I closed out 8. And I moved my stop. Let's see, on this one, I didn't mark it, did I? I moved my stop to halfway because when it comes up here and it's level 2, that's 1-to-1. One-time risk to reward. So when it hit there, I closed 8, moved my stop halfway. When it went up here, then what I did was moved my stop. Again, I closed one. I had two runners on, closed one runner here, and then moved my stop to a break even. No, I left my stop underneath the 4 hour. I'm sorry. I actually decided to leave the stop below the 4 hour. So I moved it in here. It was like halfway is where it was. And I'll go over this in a little different way here in a minute. So that was where my stop was. So again, when stop originally here, when it hit 1 to 1, closed out 8, moved stop halfway. So now we have half the risk on the other two contracts. It went up here, one runner, and I decided not to go here, which I'm glad I didn't. I would have got stopped out over here. But because of that 4 hour levels there and might be tested, I chose to kind of just move it up a little bit and put it, halfway. Now, I could have been stopped out there easily as well. It could have wicked down below. But as you can see over here, I would have been stopped out if I would have moved my stop to break even. So you got to kind of be aware of where the market may come back and retest. And I'm fully aware that at any time, once a 4 hour level is broken, that it can be retested. So we're not asking for this to just, take off like a rocket and, for days it's going to go longer and we're in it. We're just asking that we can make some profit on the way up. We know full well that it more than likely on the 4 hour time frame, the larger time frame, the 1 hour and 4 hour, it's going to pull back. We're going to get that retracement. And where's it going to pull back to? Well, it's likely to pull back to this 4 hour level. Okay. And then sat in the trade on the runner until it hit way over here on the red line. This line here, 4 p.m. Okay, so what I'm going to do is kind of go through it on the replay. All right. So again, we're looking at the checklist. Everything was green. Everything turned green on the entry here. So all three time frames were green. So I'm only looking to buy. Okay. And then when it's 50%, we just don't take a trade, right? Buying right now, just because all three time frames are green, is pretty much flipping a coin. I'm gonna flip a coin. It's 50% chance that it's going to make it in your direction. So we don't do that, okay? But since we're going to look to trade in the direction of the indicator, which is green, we're only looking to buy. That gives us 50% reason to take the trade. But it's not enough for us. That is not enough reasons for us to take trade. If it is, we might as well just come into the market every morning and flip a quarter, and heads were going long and tails were going short. And we're not going to do that. We're not going to last long in the market. So it popped. So once it, let's see, it was not in the middle of a retracement or pullback. Okay, so I didn't check that box. So typically how I look at this is 50% reason take trade. All the other reasons are 10% added. So I'm going to change this around a little bit the way I used to have it, where it's 50% reason if you're with the direction. Each other indication or confirmation would be an extra 10%, and then you add them all together. So I'll make the spreadsheet do that to where when you check these boxes, it will add in 10. Because as I was trading day, I was like, well, I didn't have a pullback. I wasn't in the middle of a retracement, in Bitcoin, and it was green. We're looking for it to break. It broke this 4 hour high, so that was this right here. Breaks a retracement line or a high and low. Well, it broke the high and low. Okay. So it broke the 4 hour SR level, high low. And that gives us 10% reason to take the trade. So I was actually at 60 here because we weren't in a retracement or a pullback. Now the second pullback here is a pullback to test a retracement line or high low. And that's what it did. This red candle pulled back, retraced back to that 4 hour support and resistance level. So 10% more reason to take the trade. So I was actually at 70 here because we didn't have one here, 10% here. So I'm going to change it to where when you tick these boxes, it'll actually total it up and give you a percentage at the bottom of your setup. because instead of this being 110 setup, it was actually 100, because of that one's missing. There's just no way I could fix this all while I was trading this morning. So let's do this on a replay real quick. All right. So we're going to come over and I'm just going to replay, over here. We'll start the replay. I kind of wanted to keep them marked up because that way I can remember exactly where I closed, where I took them, the target levels, where I put my stop. So you can see I got in up here. We'll show that in a minute. And then my stop was down below this low, and I gave it some room. I was not putting my stop way down here, guys. That's just too far. That's way too far of a stop, okay? Because if it gets all the way down here, if it would have broke through and come all the way back down here, I should have probably been short. This is probably would have changed over, okay? So let's see. We'll tick them over. Just one candle at a time. So again, we see, and this trend line would not have been here yet until it broke. So once it breaks this high-low level, okay, it closes above it, at that point, we would draw a trade line, from here to basically the bottom of this candle, okay? Now, we're looking for that. We're not saying at this point, that's it. I'm going long. This trade line is going to support my trade. I'm going to move my profit level up off take profit tool. We're not in yet, but we're preparing. And again, this is happening every minute. So you get another candle. It pops up. And you're probably thinking you missed it. There's probably millions of traders out there that said, well, I missed it. I should have took that buy. Okay? Let's wait for our setup. If you want to get something like that and take that break right there, go lightly. Don't go in with 10 contracts. Go in with 2. You can always stack in, okay? Next candle came down to test that level. I think it's this next one I bought on. Yeah, right there. So see how it wicked down to test the level, more indecision candle. We have a definite high here we can mark to break. This candle wicked up and wicked back down. So the bullish side of the market is pushing it up, but the bearish side is just keeping it there. But then we had a buy signal. The 1 hour lined up down here. So the 1 hour lined up with the 4 hour and 15 minute. So that's when I marked on that image all 3 time frames green. I had several reasons to take the trade. For one, I didn't trade news. Let it bounce around a little bit. But it broke here. Broke our 4 hour support resistance level. Okay, another bullish candle, and then it pulled back. So we got, 50% reason to take the trade because everything's lined up green. We got 10% reason to take the trade because it pulled back, okay, to test this level. And then we actually got a red candle, which is not a signal candle. A green candle is going to be a signal candle. If you're looking to go long, the green candle is your signal candle. But we got a buy instead. Okay, so that's when I came in, and I did do 8 or 10. Sorry, so I did 10. So we're going to go ahead and buy 10, and then we'll pull our stop down here. This is where I have my stop. So at this point, we're risking $295 is what I put up this morning on this trade. Okay. Now, we're not doing anything with it until it hits our target level. So we're using the take profit tool. This is what I used today on all 4 instruments was the take profit tool that we use. And again, that's the Fibonacci tool just modified to give us several profit targets. So we'll tick this over, and I'll tick it kind of quick. Looks like I need to reset that. And guys, I may not get this exact because as it's going in the heat of the moment, I think I had it closed it when it hit up here. So that's where my marker is. And closing out 8. And I can't do what I did. Sometimes, like on this one, what I had to do today was I had a pending order up here to close out 8. So it closes out. So I'm going to try and get this right on the replay. And I just can't remember if I closed, I know it closed out up here. But in order for me to try and get the price right, it's not. I'm going to wait for the next candle and see if that gets me up closer to that line. Because I didn't wait through these. See how that one popped me through? So unfortunately, I'm going to close it out the 8 and just realize that that is not the amount. The sheets out there, let me look real quick. So we're on Bitcoin. Bitcoin, when I closed partial, it was 298. So it had to have been down. It was over here because right now it's up higher. And I don't, if I tick over again, I'm afraid it's going to shoot up. I don't remember exactly how the candles went because, again, I traded 4 instruments today at one time. So, and I'm not going to start the video back over. So just realize I'm going to close out the 8. Okay. And so we'll sell 8. So it says 364 down here. I only closed out, when I closed out the 8, I got 292. So this is more. Just keep that in mind. This is like $70 more than what I closed out. All right. So I want to be exact with my numbers as I can. Okay. So when it hit that profit target level, so it hit level 2, which is 1-to-1, move stop to the halfway point. Okay. Minimizing my risk a little bit on the runners. Okay, now on the 2 runners, I'm only risking, a little over $25. So then we're sitting there just watching. We really don't care what it does. If it hits the profit target, which it does. So there it hit the target. And again, I'm going to leave this down. I ticked over too fast. This candle closed right there, and that's where I closed. Since this one closed down below, I'm going to go ahead and close out one that's going to make up for part of that 70 overage that I have right now. So we'll take this down to 1, and then we're going to sell 1, and then we're left with one runner. Now, typically, when it hits the second level, which is our 2-to-1, 2 times risk level, when it hits there, typically we would move our stop up here to a break-even point, just above our entry. I chose to leave it. Ooh, wrong tool. Moving the wrong thing. Hang on. It might not let me grab my stop. There it is. I chose to leave my stop down here. So I moved it a little better than it was. Okay. I did not want to move it above this 4-hour support resistance level. Okay. So at this point, and what I planned on the sheet, and I know it doesn't have this in the image, but the next level down on here is how you're going to manage your stop. Are you going to manage it 1 level back, 2 levels back, 3 levels back on the risk management tool? So I chose to do mine 2 levels back. So I'm keeping my stop 2 levels down below, and then the other option is closing out at end of day. Just being done and saying, because right now it says 427, take some of that away at, like 390 or something with the runner, 380. So that's good on this trade, 380 on the trade. And we're in it, not in it very long. Now, you can move your stop aggressively and keep it 1 level back. You can move your stop up here. And as it hits a take profit level, you move your stop aggressive. You can keep it 2 levels back, like I said. And in this case, again, I'd keep it below that 4-hour support resistance level. Now, when it hits the next profit level, I can choose to move my stop or leave it where it is and see where we're at end of day. If I have things going on, I might choose just to leave it where it is. Now, I'm not going to tick these over candle by candle. There you'll see it hit that profit level. I did nothing with my stop. Okay, that's why I wanted to mention it. Some people will move it. Some days I move it. There's some days where I will trail 1 level back. There's days where I trail 2 levels back. So if this would have been a 2 trail day, and I will do that, when it hits level 1, I moved all of them halfway. When it hit to level 2, I didn't move them all to break even. Okay, and when it hit level 3, sometimes I just leave my stop where it is at that break even. We'll see where we're at the end of the day. Is it going to be a trending day the whole day? Sometimes that means I give something back. You know, it may pull back and take me out down in here where I could have closed out here or moved my stop up. So I chose to leave my stop where it was, and then we'll tick over. Would have been taken out in there, would have, you know, just been out of the trade over here if I would have moved my stop up. So you're looking going, well, that's okay. You know, if I'd have moved my stop, I'd have been stopped out here. So what we want to look at is, where is this at 4 o'clock? When I chose to close everything out at 4, because that's what I said earlier, I'm just going to, 4 o'clock, I'm going to log in, come back to the computer, you know, and I'm just going to close them all 4 trades, if they're still on. Okay? What I get is what I get. You know, it's one of those, we just tell the kids all the time, you get what you get and you don't throw a fit. That's what I'm looking at on the one runner on this trade. I'm going to get whatever I get at 4 o'clock. I'm either going to be taken out before then, you know, because if I would have moved my stop, I would have been taken out here. Almost got taken out here. Okay. So just chose to leave them till 4. Had other things going on. So we'll see the, I should have probably just popped this to a 3-minute just to span over. What time are we at here? And the time's gone. There it is. All right. So let's tick it over a couple candles. And that's where I closed. All right. So let's pull back and look. So if you pull back and look, I made a little bit more. Okay. So again, it came up and hit level 1, closed 8. Came up and hit level 2, which is 2 to 1, closed 1. Hit level 3, I did not move my stop where? I didn't move my stop up here, okay? Because I kept it here, and I could have just moved it to break even, but I would have been stopped out on that. So as you look at this as a whole, a couple things to note is by not moving my stop to break even, by realizing that this was a 4-hour level, support resistance level, and I should probably keep my stop below that. By realizing that, it kept me out of getting stopped out here, because if I would have moved my stop to break even, I'd have been stopped out here. Okay, so if you, a couple things to look at. Stopped out here. Did I make as much money as closing out at the end of the day? No. I made less. So if I'd have moved my stop to break even and got stopped out here, I would have made less on this last runner than over here. Right now I'm making $60 on the last runner to close it out there at 4 o'clock. So not much, not making much. But if I would have moved my stop here and got stopped out here, I'd have made 0. That runner would have been 0 because my stop would have been at break even. Okay, so made more money by leaving it on and by keeping my stop down. Now, what if I would have trailed my stop to the next level? So again, it hit level 1, we moved to the halfway stop. Hit level 2, we moved to break even, or in this case I chose leave it. Hit level 3, now I should be safe to move it to at least break even, but we see that I wasn't. But what if I would have moved it to that level, 2 levels back? Hit this level 4, I moved my stop to level 2. I would have been stopped out here. Well, if you look at the line off the cursor, I would have been stopped out there. And if you look over at the 4 o'clock over here, where I'm getting ready to close now, I made a little bit more money than if I would have moved my stop here. Okay, stayed in it all day, didn't really amount to a whole lot, but it's still a little bit more money than if I would have moved it. So those are some takeaways that you want to do when you look at the trading and moving your stop. You have to figure out what's comfortable for you. I will tell you this, there's no 100% right way. It's the right way for you. What's the right way for you? I can give you 3 or 4 different scenarios because that's what it is. You know, when it hits level 1-to-1 ratio, do you even close any out? Or do you want 1.5 and close out there? And you can add half levels to the tool, to the fib tool. So when it hits level 1, do you close any out? Do you move your stop to the halfway point? Now I like closing partial because I've seen too many times where it hits level 1 and then just turns around, goes back, or goes the opposite way. So you can close out what you want. I put on 10. I closed out 8. Now I didn't do that on, I'll go over the other trades in different videos. I'm going to make 4 different ones. But one of the other instruments I traded, I put on 10. I closed out 6 and left 4 run. So I could have closed out 6 and then closed out 2 here and then closed out 1 here. That's what I like to do. If I put on 10 and close out 6, I like to close out 6, close out 2, close out 1. I would have made more money on this whole trade if I would have managed it that way. I chose not to. I made my decisions on what I wanted to do, and I made a little less money, like I said, than if I would have put on 10, closed 6, closed 2, closed 1, and left my stop alone. Okay? So I'm not going to ever fault anyone for not making, you make the most you can based off the decisions you make and how you trade. So right now, I know this says 487, but the let's see, partial on Bitcoin was 292 and the other was 193, so 485. Yeah, so 485. Yeah, so that's close, 487. So I actually made 485 on it. 292 on closing the partial, and then 193 on all the runners on Bitcoin. So I hope you liked the video. Like I said, this was just a quick replay and going over why I took the trades the way I did. I'll upload this and then I'll get on to the next one because I have 3 others I'm going to do. So this was Bitcoin. I traded gold and ES, and it was not platinum. Oh, wait a minute. I'm sorry, guys. I think I just lost my screen for you guys. Sorry. It was platinum, gold, Bitcoin, and ES. So I'll get those videos done and get them uploaded here in a few. Hope you enjoyed.